So if you're not in the know, currently the Marvel Universe is experiencing a vampire takeover and invasion, with the invasion even seemingly killing many heroes, with one of them being Doctor Strange. And how will this pan out for the Sorcerer Supreme? Well, my name is AJ, here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So as we begin, we see Blade talking with Doctor Strange and his wife Clea. And if you're not sure why Blade is here at the Sanctum Sanctorum, watch the previous video to get fully caught up with the Blood Hunt and where we are in this new Marvel event. But we see Doctor Strange ask Blade, who was the mastermind behind this giant vampire invasion? Is it Dracula? With Blade simply saying, do you really want to know who put out the sun? Who released the children of the night? Who assembled the monsters that killed the Avengers? And the leader of the structure. And if you're new here and all that meant absolutely nothing to you, the TLDR is, after the vampires took over the earth, they made every hero and villain that inherited the dark force energies to explode, covering the planet in darkness. There was also a special team of super vampires who were specially picked and had powers and were able to overtake and even capture, maybe even kill some of the Avengers, such as Thor, Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, just to name a few. So Doctor Strange was researching a spell that will kill all vampires instantly because, well, magic. But okay, right, if not Dracula or any other major vampire villain, who else will do all this and plan this invasion? Well, it is revealed that it is none other than Blade himself, as he even says as much while stabbing Doctor Strange through the chest, basically bringing Strange to his deathbed as he bleeds out and lays there dying, much to the obvious dismay to his wife Clea. And you would think for someone being the Sorcerer Supreme, they would have some kind of magical defenses or even armor or something that would stop them from just a normal blade. Or maybe Blade's weapons aren't just normal blades in the first place, which we will get to a little later. And obviously seeing her loved one being murdered by the hands of a so-called friend doesn't sit right with her, nor would it with anyone. We see her get into battle mode, screaming at Blade to let him go, with Blade going on to say, no, fear not, I have no intention of letting him die, or at least not for long, as we see Blade plunge his fangs into Doctor Strange's neck, infecting him to become a undead vampire just like him, and many others, with Clea going on the offense to cast a spell wanting to stop them, but her spell is the one that stopped, as somehow Blade is able to cast a countermeasure, to her surprise, with her saying, how are you doing this? You, Blade, are no mage, because as it seems, Blade, the vampire hunter, is now well versed in Atlantean magic, in sorcery, and with Blade now infecting Doctor Strange, he then lunges and rushes for Clea to start their very own battle. And as they come to clash, magic versus his blades, this surprises Clea as she says, what manner of swords even are those? Blade then goes on to say, long ago in old Atlantis, there is an Atlantean order of people who hunted magicians. They forged and made blades that can even kill the most powerful of sorcerers, cutting through their enchantments. Now of course they died, but their blades remain. And of course as their battle continues, they eventually come to a standstill, face to face, within a sword clash, with Clea going on to say, why Blade? Steven was your friend. You even battled evil vampires together, helping each other out. Blade then goes on to say, well, his plan, his scheme has spanned and has been in the works for a long time. The end has been in the making for thousands of years. Loosing his hungry children across the world, shattering the Avengers, was merely his opening move. No, to make lasting order and to achieve his long desired aims, the Earth's sorcerers, and Sorcerer Supreme specifically, must be dealt with. Because yeah, you know how many other events or stories where it is like, oh, the Avengers were defeated. How will the heroes prevail? And then the heroes mount up another attack and they wind up winning. No, if you want true change and want to win, not only do you have to deal with the Avengers, but also other magic users, time travelers, speedsters, and so on. With Blade also saying the reasoning why he did this to Doctor Strange in the first place was so that they couldn't put together the Montestel formula, the spell or formula that could instantly wipe out all vampires on Earth, putting Blade's plan to a screeching halt. But of course now with Clea knowing this, she then tells Blade that you have sealed your fate, for Steven and I will not rest until we have assembled the formula and defeated you. With Blade going on to say, oh yeah, I believe you. If I left Stephen Strange alive, you would. And even if I killed him, your grief would only encourage you more. But instead, I've left you with a very convincing argument not to do it. As you then see Doctor Strange in a corner, with him finally starting his process into becoming a vampire himself. And what does this mean? Well, if Clea wants to keep her beloved husband, the one person she loves most in the world, alive now, she can't put together the spell and cast it. Because yeah, it might save the world and get rid of the vampires, but it'll also now get rid of Doctor Strange himself too. Which is the exact angle Blade was working at, with Doctor Strange getting up and rushing towards Clea trying to attack her. So she is forced to use the Crimson Bands of Sidorak to restrain him, as Blade is now free to fully leave, as his mission is now completed. But of course, Clea vows to see him dead, to kill him for what he has done to not only Strange, but to the entire Earth. As Blade says, perhaps, but it would not be the first time I have died, as he then calls upon his blood coven to teleport him back to base, leaving Clea to deal with this now vampire Doctor Strange. And as they engage in a little bit of a struggle, she then comes to a realization and conclusion, saying that the Daywalker, or Blade, has turned you into a vampire, making you susceptible to his dominion, but it is only a curse of your body, and while it has clouded your mind, she can separate the two. And while telling him to brace himself because this process will hurt, she literally reaches in and pulls his soul out of his body, separating the normal human Stephen Strange from the vampire body of Stephen Strange. And with Doctor Strange immediately being distraught over losing his body, and I mean, yeah, you obviously would, right? Imagine being forcefully turned into a vampire against your will, and not even just a normal vampire, a feral beast vampire. Yeah, that would suck for anybody, let alone a vampire with the magic of the Sorcerer Supreme. But just then, Doctor Strange immediately locks in and decides they still need to go ahead with the formula, even though it would kill him now that his body's a vampire too. And of course his wife Clea doesn't want this, with her even saying there has to be another way, as she then goes on to explain that Blade attacked us, beat us, because we were doing what he knew we would be doing, and because we were blind to the true threat. But now our eyes have been torn open. We cannot win by what he expects us to do, which would be scrambling to put together the spell, all while he and the other vampires continue taking over the Earth. She continues by saying, we must save the world and you. There is no in-between or picking and choosing. And eventually Doctor Strange gives in, saying, alright, fine, but if we hope to win, we must join forces with the other heroes. Blade believes us to be broken and scattered, and it is up to us to show him how wrong he is. And just like that, right on cue, they then start to hear knocks on their front door of the Sanctum Sanctor. As we immediately cut over and see who was at the front door, Spider-Man, specifically Miles Morales, Tigra, and Hunter's Moon. And after peering out in his now ghostly form, Doctor Strange then welcomes them inside the Sanctum Sanctor. And here is where things get really juicy again, as we see a shocking twist. Somebody starts talking and monologuing, with him going on to say, the heroes gather, and now they make their plans to save the day. For I speak quite literally this time. With unnatural darkness having fallen upon the earth, they must truly save the day. But they don't know that I am in this story as well. And it is almost time for me to make my entrance. Me, Victor Strange, a ghost, a mind without a body, and look, a body without a mind. As you see another ghost and or astral form peer out, and it is none other than Victor Strange, the brother of Dr. Stephen Strange, who most people probably didn't even know existed. Doctor Strange also had a sister too, but she is largely unimportant, or at least not as important as Victor Strange here might become. But as his ghost form is here, he also sees there is an uninhabited body, in the form of Doctor Strange's vampire body. So if these two were to somehow connect, an evil Victor Strange and the powerful body of the Sorcerer Supreme, all hell might break loose. As considering the fact that before Victor Strange was turned into a spirit, he was accidentally turned into a vampire himself, meaning if he gets a hold of the Sorcerer Supreme's powerful body, he will help the enemy vampires continue dominating the earth, as this issue leaves on that cliffhanger, signaling the end of this video as well. If you enjoyed, leave a like or even subscribe if you're new, and as always, thank you for watching.